This video is the 18th installment of the Inktober challenge for 2023. I have uploaded 2 videos today because, as I explained in part 17, I neglected to upload yesterday's video. This has had a bit of a knock-on effect because I had to edit and then upload that video and then draw this installment. There's not very much editing happening in this video, so forgive me. This is going to be slightly different. Normally I show snapshots of what I've been doing. I say normally, it's become less and less, but I will start doing that more often again. It's just been a week of recovery and everything's slowed down significantly since the exhibition for the Plankton project happened a week or so ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Things have been winding down a little bit, but I will start gallivanting around, taking my camera, documenting some of the sights, sounds and smells that occur on my daily adventures. This is all just to say that today is a catch-up day because of my calamitous attempts at making a video yesterday. Here's what happened. In the previous video, I discussed that I had mouse problems, and that's true. Not animal mice, but the mouse for the computer. It was low on batteries, and then it takes 2 hours to charge, and it was getting late. And I was at a point where it was ready to be, I think, just the finishing edit, just chopping things up a little bit, which takes about, 30 minutes or so. And that's where the battery died. So I made a decision that I would start to film a video for my Patreon channel. And it's an idea that I've had for quite a while, which was to do commentary over an interview that happened recently where I was the interviewee. And this is a first for me. I've not been on someone else's podcast before. I myself have 2 podcasts, in case you're unaware. My first podcast that I had was called Studio Buddies. That had something like 16 episodes. And then as soon as that finished, I started Good Values podcast. And that was for tonal values as well as having values as a person in your life, having good values. And the first year was interviewing friends that I had made during university, during my time at university and art school, and people who I'd met through those friends, and also people who I met along the way, people, kind of amateur artists who I respected and admired. And it was a real, favor for everyone who was a guest for me, because I was in need of some assistance starting up my new podcast. And then for my second season, I was very fortunate to have as my first guest Jared Moralt, and that snowballed into lots of other very well-known artists, which was amazing. And then recently, one of the guests who I had was Richard Blades, and after I'd interviewed him, he sent me a message with a proposition that we collaborate on a podcast which is called the Good Values podcast, and that is a channel that is up, and it'll be linked in the description of this video. But I'm going to tell you about what went wrong last night that I was going to upload for my Patreon channel, and I may still. there is a quick advert for my Patreon channel. If you are able to support me, it would be amazing. It's the cost of 1 cup of coffee per month, and it means the world to me. Anyway, this is what I planned on doing for a video to put on Patreon, and doing commentary on the interview was an idea, but I can be a bit one tone, I can be a bit subdued in my commentary, so I thought to spice it up a little bit, why don't I finish off this bottle of whiskey that I've had in my room since before the pandemic, and I don't drink very often. I thought it'll be fun, I'll get a little tipsy and I'll watch the interview, and I will pause quite often and give commentary and context for what was happening, how I was feeling, and all of that. So I got some snacks, got the bottle of whiskey. Now this happened after the mouse died, so I kind of charged up the mouse for 30 seconds, then unplugged it, quickly set up the video and a Zoom meeting so that I could film myself looking at the screen. But then I also filmed myself on another camera as well in the process of the drinking and as the night went on. This was not a great idea. I mean, it could have been if I had any moderation about me at the time, but I didn't. I decided, right, I need to get this started soon because I want to start the video, and the recording's already started. So I wanted to start the interview video, but I wanted to have some drink in me. So I started necking whiskies, and I necked about 3 or 4 glasses, I think, maybe more. And I thought, yeah, I'm still not really tipsy. I mean, I don't mind. Whiskey doesn't really hit me in a way that hurts or is unpleasant. I really enjoy whiskey, so that wasn't bad at all. And then I thought, there's some rum in the house. I'll go and get this spiced Jamaican rum. Lovely. That'll be nice. And I was eating the snacks. The bottle of whiskey had gone, and I started to drink the rum. This is all on camera. When I started to play the video, the interview video, I would be pausing it before anything got said. And then after the first few words, I paused it. And then again, it was barely 10 seconds in, and I was pausing so many times. Obviously drunk. And I couldn't understand that I was drunk for some reason. But I knew that the drink was affecting me. So I said, maybe I'm a little bit tipsy. I'm not sure. This is what I think I look like, because I couldn't see myself on the camera because I'd started the Zoom meeting filming myself. But then in front of that, I had on full screen the interview, so I couldn't actually see myself, and there's no mirrors in my room. So I got a piece of paper and a marker pen, and I started to draw what I thought I looked like, and then showed that to the camera and said, this is what I think I must look like at the moment. And then all types of digressions were occurring instead of getting the actual job done, where I would wander outside because I thought I'd heard a noise and took my phone with me, and we've got a doorbell camera, so I was captured on the doorbell camera even though it's only me who's seen the footage, and it's not terrible. I'm doing a little bit of staggering, and you can hear me talking about being inebriated on the camera. Anyway, it didn't go very far. I got myself quite sick because I'd mixed the whiskey and the rum, and they didn't agree with, I certainly couldn't take it anyway. They didn't agree with me. And I felt quite sick, and ended up stopping the video. So that was something which I wasn't even going to share with you, but I thought I may as well tell you what I left out of my last video. I omitted that information from the explanation for why my Inktober submission hadn't been uploaded. And also, to be honest, what was I going to say? The podcast that I mentioned before the Patreon advert, Painting Insights podcast, that gets uploaded every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on the YouTube channel, which is linked in the description of this video. That didn't happen today. Today is Wednesday. the 18th of October, and the podcast should have gone up on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all of the platforms at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that didn't happen, and that was my fault. So I apologised to my co-host, told him that I'm okay because he asked me if I was all right, and I haven't explained to him what's happened because I was just a bit embarrassed by such shameful behaviour and neglect of my responsibilities. That is not in character for me. It was on a whim that I decided to do this idea, but that has ruined that. So I've made up for it today by making sure that the podcast is clearly a finished edit. I've exported it as a video, sent it off to my co-host, and I've uploaded and scheduled it for 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's all ready to go. And then I thought, because I was feeling so rough today, and it wasn't my head, normally it's a headache, isn't it? But for me, it was sickness. I really felt, sick in my stomach. And I just thought, maybe I won't do Inktober today. So I'll have one video that needs editing, which is the 17th. And the 18th will need doing, and I'll do the 18th, the 19th, and also edit and upload the 17th all together on Thursday. But then, as it got past midday and I was having stuff to eat and trying to get some fluids down me, I started to feel better. It took a while, actually. It was about 3 p.m. I think I started to feel better, and then started to get the work done. That's when I did the podcast first, and then did my video and uploaded my part 17, or video number 17 for yesterday. And then I thought, I could get another drawing done. I feel a bit inspired to do a fresh drawing because I didn't love the drawing from yesterday. I loved the process of doing it, but I didn't like the product at the end of it. And I usually like to do drawings which I'm I don't know, could lead to something, or something which I like, or I don't know, sometimes they're just not, they underwhelm me a little, and that's what happened yesterday, is that it was just not what I was planning on doing, really. I wanted to do cross-hatching and a texture page, which I always look forward to, and my first attempt failed, and my second attempt just became something different because of the fact that I hadn't drawn panels on the page, like comic book panels, just rectangles all over, and I wasn't using Indian ink. I was using Waterman's fountain pen ink to dip a dip pen into, and that was too heavy an ink, and it made the page, it bled into the page and made it start to go fluffy. So it was close to tearing, so I couldn't do cross-hatching, which is, it's just no good. To make a texture page, I need to be able to cross-hatch, not just hatch, and I really enjoy texture pages, so I'm going to make a concerted effort to do that soon. I think tomorrow will be a day where I show and explore transferring videotapes onto the computer, because I have the adapters for that, but I haven't actually invested the time, or I haven't had the time to invest into learning how to do that process, really. So I'm looking forward to that, and that will be tomorrow, because I do have a desk in my room that's not functional anymore. It's just now a shelf, which is a mess. It has on it watercolour paints, a book about natural dyes, a set of pencils, several sketchbooks, a kind of a pouch with loads of paintbrushes in there. It's got some Hessian sacks, which I got from the gallery which hosted my first exhibition. I've got a machine which does kind of the tabs, which it's called the dual tab driver, which kind of makes tabs go into frames so that you can frame your own work. That's something I bought when I was setting up the first exhibition. I saw that they had one of those and thought I need to get myself one of those. They look great. But yeah, aside from that, it's got on here framed artwork. It's got tons of pieces of paper, magazines, packs of pencils, which I mentioned earlier, but packs of other pencils, the Blackwing pencils. It's got loose pencils and pens on there, packs of pens, folders full of drawings, a video player, business cards. It's got calendars. It's got soft pastels, paintings, crisps, all kinds of things just piled up on this desk. It is a complete embarrassment. So, and that's not everything, by the way. For the mercy of the listeners, I've stopped listing everything that's on the table. So I'm going to tidy all that up. That's going to be a sequence tomorrow in the video as well. It may not sound interesting, but I always like being able to edit bits and pieces of the things that surround the making of the artwork. That's always something which became a highlight in my videos recently. So I'm going to continue that and see how it works tomorrow. I can envisage it being really good. So hopefully that will be true. I do have lots of footage that I could start editing into videos, but I don't know. I'll have a think about that, because it's not going to be footage from that day. And I like the idea of vlogging, but I need to be able to go out and do things. And I don't always do that, especially not recently. I've been spending every day indoors and only going outside to, say, take out the bins, which is what I'm going to do today. The point being, it's not really made the videos like they were. You know, they were quite, I don't know, quite lively. I quite enjoyed what I was able to achieve. So what I'm now going to do is try to create some filmmaking from the more mundane aspects of my life. Again, hopefully better than it sounds, because that may sound terrible, but it's actually, I've found, can be quite easy to make interesting and good. So that's the plan anyway. I thought I'd make this video real-time drawing just because I don't think it took too long to do it. It's, you know, not something which I had any big idea beforehand about what I was drawing. I just knew that I could do something which is a bit more in the realm of the art that I enjoy seeing on either Instagram or just online anywhere, you know, or in person, you know, if I ever come across this type of work. I don't know, it's abstract, but it is not outside the realm of association with things like films that I enjoy. And I don't know, I don't want to give too many hints about what my influence was, because I didn't have anything direct which was kind of plugged into this, but it's definitely got hints of influence in my mind. As I said, not planned, but you can see it in your work after you've made it. And this became a fluid part of the drawing because I knew it was going to be abstract and I could do whatever I wanted. I didn't have to be careful about the marks. Making a mess was part of the process, and that's always quite an enjoyable part of art making. If that can be encompassed in your practice, then creativity just seeps in and discovery is almost inevitable. So certain shapes and concepts started to emerge, and then I would return to the mark making that I'm more accustomed with, which is bits of hatching and bits of shadow patches, but I was still trying to keep a loose and playful energy to the work. So that's why I quite enjoy this video. I think it's worth having in real time, and I thought it's something which I haven't done for a while. And it's a recovery day. Now I was ill by my own actions, so it was my own fault that I felt so rotten all day. But I'm very grateful that that has now subsided, and I'm looking forward to being a bit more clean living, because I'm certainly not a drinker very often, and if I do drink, it's normally in moderation. but it's so rare that I would drink anywhere that I think I'm less and less inclined as I get older because of my stomach condition anyway. I just avoid it. It's just easier to try and not put yourself at risk of sickness. So, it may sound a bit boring, but I have enough fun without that. I am still planning on doing the reaction video to my interview, which was held by Gabriella Handel. And I'm still going to do that, but I'm not going to do it inebriated anymore. Obviously, that plan backfired. I don't know whether I will ever publish that footage, because as much as it's not inappropriate or unseemly, it's, you know, it wouldn't be flagged by YouTube or anyone. It's not, nothing inappropriate occurred. It's just not something which I'm especially proud of. So I've not watched the footage. You know, I've only seen the video of the last thing that happened before me turning off the computer and me staggering around outside not long before calling it quits and deciding to give up. There could probably be a good montage of me necking the drinks, because that's something which happened over and over and over again until bottles were emptied. But I don't really know. Maybe that's just a Patreon thing. I think it's, I don't know, feels a bit exposing really, to show how out of control it became, not in a, you know, violent or unpleasant way, but by way of not being able to concentrate on the one thing I was trying to do, which is watch the interview and comment on the interview as it played. It's such a simple task, and I couldn't do it. I was doing lots of other things and just couldn't manage to keep my mind straight, really, to just focus. And that's the nature of maybe drinking. As I said, I did a drawing. I may publish that. I spoke to a friend earlier and she said maybe that could be the drawing for today, and I wouldn't do that. Even though it was after midnight, the drawing was quick and it wasn't terrible. It was humorous, but I think that'll be something which maybe gets posted along with the story and visual aids that I might do as a video on Patreon. So that was a lesson learnt. But it was nice to know that I can recover and draw today. That was a relief. And it certainly helped me focus on what's important as far as making sure that the podcast is edited, uploaded and sent to my co-host, which I need to start doing earlier. I mean, ideally tomorrow I would work on the next podcast so that it's almost done. But there are several things I want to do tomorrow, so who knows. That is the problem. I have the best of intentions, but then I have such a list of things that I want to get done, and it always seems to get, you know, interrupt on other things. Earlier in the year, I'd started making lists that I wanted to get through in the week. I think it was each day, and anything that wasn't done, I would write it on the next day. And there was the same things that hadn't been done. And I'll need to try and find that pad and read that at some point to show the things that I could do and the things I just couldn't do. But that was before any of these exhibitions that I've been having this year came about. So I wasn't so focused and motivated. I think these days, I think I'm a little bit more focused and productive. It's just that lately, in the past week, I've been slowing down and doing less and struggling more, and that needs to change, because I don't want winter to be a time where I don't produce more work. Sometimes I produce lots of work and none of it's successful. That's perhaps a useful thing to discuss and share, but it's, you know, similar to how people present themselves on Instagram. You really only share the successful side of things, and it gives an unrealistic vision of what people's lives must be like. And my work, when I say successful, is not really at the level of successful visually or financially. I just mean something which I don't mind putting out in the world. I'm certainly not saying this is a successful piece as in it looks great or anything like that, because there's no great achievement in my work yet, but I feel as though I'm at least progressing. I feel like I can see steps being taken in the right direction. A lot of what I've been doing this year is recovering from the bad effects that happened from being in art school. That's something which I'm going to discuss on the Patreon channel as well in depth, but I'd lost my ability to draw and paint by lack of practice and by just damaging my mentality. It was such an unhealthy place to be. So I had to relearn a lot of those things, because when you're discouraged from drawing or painting, then you start to explore other things that may not suit you so well, that may not be part of your common practice. Something which I did take up in university that I've continued with is making art films. Now, I don't do that very often because I don't consider the films that I put up on YouTube to be art films. I did consider that at one point, but I thought the channel isn't really shaped that way. And it may be slightly changing shape with the vlog aspect that isn't apparent in this video, but will be in more videos soon. And I think that's a really nice thing to share, especially with living in such a beautiful place. I should take advantage of the sights and show off the beauty of this part of the world. And that could fit very well into discussing artwork and creating pieces of work for videos. And that's a way that I want the channel to progress and change. Making music helps. But anyway, making art films is something which I've done in 2 exhibitions this year. One was my first exhibition in Carnarvon, and that was with another artist I shared the space with. And I had 2 films playing there. And then I made another art film for the Plankton exhibition. So I have a film up there. I need to go and visit that exhibition as well and go and film it so that I have a video about that exhibition, because it was really a really interesting process and a lot of really nice people. So yeah, I'm going to go and revisit that at some point. But yeah, art films are something which I've made several of, and I'm considering posting the films that I've made for the exhibition in Carnarvon, which is now finished. Because I have those 2 films that I made music for, and they're only short, but they'd be nice videos to share, I think. So I might post those at some point. I think I do better with ink drawing, so that's why I think Inktober suited me this year. There's been a few days where I've struggled, but it's still got the potential of being transformative in my practice, because of having to draw every day. You have to tap into that creativity and think of things to draw, and it's rare that I draw from anything with a reference. I've done that maybe twice for this year, as you know, this year's Inktober challenge. So it's a lot of it is from imagination, or it's just mark making practice, and I think that's quite a nice way of escaping from your standard drawing, even though I do regard quite highly the standard way of drawing. That might continue to be something which I do, not continue, sorry, that might be something which I start doing as we get towards the end of the month. We're on the 18th now, so maybe in the next few days I might start introducing images from television programs that I like, say series that I've watched, that I might draw a frame from. So that's something which I wanted to do anyway, and this could be a good opportunity to do it for the Inktober challenge this year, just because I've not been doing any of that. I've done the drawing with both hands. I haven't done a drawing with just my left hand yet, so that could be coming soon. Either way, it's nice to have this challenge to keep me going. I think if I didn't have the incentive to draw every day, then I wouldn't draw every day. And I should with or without an October event, you know. I did a daily drawing for a year, a few years ago. It may have been 2018 or something like that. And it was really good for me, because I think it's because I struggled to get through the Inktober the first time I'd done one. And that worried me that I struggled to get through it. So I said, right, I'm going to do a drawing every day for a year, but instead of doing a pencil drawing and then doing ink on top, I'll just do an ink drawing. And I was inspired by Kim Jung-yi and Peter Deligdish. So I thought, this is not impossible, and it's certainly something which will help you grow as an illustrator, a draftsman. And that's what I did, and it caused some problems as far as I wasn't going and earning money as an artist, which is what I needed to do at the time. But I did grow as an artist instead. So just other things had to happen as a result of me not earning any money. It's difficult sometimes to make those decisions of what's more important, making money as an artist or growing, personal growth as an artist. Sometimes they're in conflict, they're not the same as each other. Making money as an artist can be more networking, and I've not been doing enough of that. I did do well with that not long ago. There's been several things I've set up and lined up and just not followed through with, and I need to do that. Things like talking to galleries about exhibitions that I'm not ready for, but if I get myself the opportunity, then I will produce the work, and I know that I can do that. And then aside from that, doing a talk at a college, which I've mentioned to the tutors there, and they've just said, yeah, just, send an email to this chap. Aside from that, there's an interview that I've been talking about doing with a gallery owner for quite a while. I need to just call him up and do that. There's a meeting with a wildlife photographer who I'm friends with that I need to do. There's a guy who runs an art group who's reached out to me about being on the painting podcast, and I need to set up a meeting with him. These are all things that I'm just now being too lazy to actually follow through with, and I need to do it. I've been sitting around not doing things for too long. So that is part of a problem which I need to take steps to rectify. And it's not hard to do. It's just forcing yourself to start doing it, and then it's done before you know it, and that weight is lifted. I've experienced that so many times this year that I should have learnt that that is the solution. Leaving things to the last minute is something which I've done far too often most of my life, and it never serves me. So learning to, get up early, clean things up, take these steps towards improvement or opportunity, even if you get turned down, you just roll with the punches. You don't take it as a personal slight or a failure. You take it as a lesson. I must have done something wrong or said something which didn't resonate with the person who I was trying to connect with. That can happen. That's just natural. Anyway, it's what's been on my mind, and I think it's always in the back of my mind when I'm drawing or painting or editing. I don't do enough painting. That's another thing which bothers me. I've been doing pastel paintings, but I've not been doing acrylic or oil paintings or watercolor paintings or gouache or egg tempera. I've got all of these materials to hand, and I have beautiful sites around. I could earn money just doing the classical art thing of painting the sites of North Wales. And I should do things like that. It's one of those potential revenue streams that I should try to tap. I'm ideally going to try and monetize either this YouTube channel or the Painting Insights podcast, have that behind some kind of paywall at some point, or have some kind of revenue coming in by sponsorship or whatever it is. And then have the opportunity to have galleries so that I can try and sell work, which my first exhibition I sold a piece of work, so you never know if I have more exhibitions and diversify the theme of the work, by which I mean one could be about the mutation drawings that I do, one could be very similar to this type of drawing that's similar to a mutation drawing, really, what I've done today. And then have one of paintings and have one of, paintings just of kind of farmland and things to do with farming, and have another one of paintings of landscapes or people. Who knows? There's all types of different work that could be made. I've tried to do more contemporary art, but it didn't really gel with me as much. I am more of a classical practitioner, really. But I like impressionistic painting, so I think that may be a way for me to go. And as I said, I'm saying all this just because it's things that I've been wanting to do more often. And I try to make sure I'm doing, I don't know, something. I mean, having the podcast and the daily drawing is something. It's certainly more than what I did last year, I think. So, did I do Inktober last year? I may have done Inktober last year. I can't remember. But if I can keep networking with people and getting involved with certain events and producing work and trying to grow and build, up my knowledge and expertise as an artist, then surely doors will open and opportunities will present themselves. And if not, then I'll have to create the opportunities. I'll have to make my own thing happen. It's a weird time around winter. I think it does make me a bit more existential. Maybe that's the case with all of us. Just, where am I in my life? What am I doing? And I think this is what I was concerned with when all the busy activity slowed down. Had such busy days, and it's slowed down now. And I think that's why in my mind I have that anxiety of, if I don't do that, then what am I doing? I need to do something. I need something to pan out. So that's what I'm going to start working towards, is having things become more not just busy, but productive, creative, make more connections, be more positive. The failure from yesterday may be the repercussions of what you're hearing today. It's fine. Nothing's wrong. It's time to kind of keep working, keep moving. I like this drawing. I thought it was fun to do. I'm going to do more stuff like this and maybe take a little bit longer over it. I think that's part of the reason why I posted it in real time, is because it's under an hour. So I thought I'd probably watch that and try it yourself. I think it's quite an enjoyable thing to do.